Attention on this channel. We've got an important message. All observations and opinions shared here are for educational purposes only. This content is intended for adults. Viewer discretion is advised. Be advised that any individuals mentioned are not intended to suggest involvement in any crime.
Case by case, got the fire.
Ha! Come on,
Yo, you wanna talk about true crime? We start with a guide that flows. Digital footprints meet criminal defense, that's how this story goes. This channel's all about online evidence, the stuff they overlook. From live stream chats to deleted posts, it's all in the true crime book. My goal is to provide insight for the attorney in the darkest hour, to find the proof that can make a case or break a criminal's power. So whether you're a lawyer or a PI, we're diving deep in the mess, exposing misconduct and hidden truths to get to the very best leads. We break it down case by case, on the trail of the facts. We show how digital evidence changes case outcomes, we on their tracks. No rumors, no gossip, just the evidence clear and concise, shining a light on the shadows at any cost or price. What do we do?
case by case.
What's the motto? We're here for the victims, the ones who were left behind. We're here for the families, giving them peace of mind. We follow the paper trail, the digital footprints and the timelines, connecting the dots, we're reading between the lines. We don't just talk theory, we show you how it works in practice. We're here to help you stay ahead of the curve, to get a new analysis. You think you're in charge, but we're here to find what matters most. We're giving a voice to the voiceless, like a digital ghost. Digital ghost, digital ghost. We break it down case by case, on the trail of the facts. We show how digital evidence changes case outcomes, we on their tracks. No rumors, no gossip, just the evidence clear and concise, shining a light on the shadows at any cost or price. What do we do?
Case by case.
What's the motto? From digital clues, the mystery, you wanna know the answers? We're dedicated to the chase, from the first look at the scene to the final resting place. We're here to find the answers, to give the victims their due. A true crime channel with a heart and a purpose too. We're here to build up, to expose the truth, and to shine a light on the darkest of deeds with all our might. We're here for the truth, we're here for the facts, and that's it. We don't chase the trends, we just chase the truth and never quit. We let the past speak for itself, we let the facts lay the ground. We're just here to be a voice, a tribute that is sound. Yeah, it's all for the truth. All for the truth.
Ha! Come on, come on. Let's go.
Their thoughts for you, yeah. Won't kiss the ring. Yeah. Ha. Come on. Let's go.
Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Yes, this is a special edition of The Vault. I felt the need to come back on since Monday. Hey, Michelle. Since we had a lot of information coming in on Monday. So today I felt like I needed to kind of like backtrack and bring in all of the information that we didn't get to on Monday. We have a lot of information about Derek German and more on Daniel Pearson. Quester is here. Fungi should be coming up. Hey, Quester. Fungi should be popping in here. She was up late. So first and foremost, for everybody who's talking about my issues, I got my test results this morning, and all of the test results right now are benign. So that is fantastic news. I feel like the weight of the world has been lifted and I can breathe. It was, I'm I'm ecstatic. That's all I can say is I'm ecstatic. So my test results were benign. The one under my arm on the left side here, where they put multiple titanium clips in to mark where the biopsies were done for future reference if needed. I still need future monitoring as far as the lymph node goes. And I still have an appointment on the 30th with the surgeon, but this was the scariest part. And now it's over. I'm so happy. I didn't realize how happy it would make me. When I got the notification this morning, the test results were uploaded. I sat there and looked at my phone and I was like, I don't know. I was scared to open them. And then I opened them and I started reading, and I had to read them like 3 times to understand. But yes, the test results are benign. So hell yes, that's the scariest part is over with. So now I feel like I have freedom. So we're doing a special episode of The Vault. I love you, Big J, too. Love you too. So we're doing a special edition of The Vault because we had a good friend of mine on Monday that she was available, so I couldn't not bring her on. But there was a lot of information that we had that we didn't get to. And a lot of it has to do with Derek German and Daniel Pearson. So Quester, do you want to fill us in on the document that we're going to go over that you compiled? I read it and I edited some versions of it, but for the most part, it's all intact. And I want to make sure it's in here. There it is. So before we go over this, do you want to drop some insight on it?
Well, the majority of it is some background on Derek. His, shall we say, behaviour, his involvements, and so on, which could have had an effect that led to this. It's one of the theories that floats around, and this sort of supports that theory, although it doesn't prove it. The second part, we then go on to what happened on the 12th and the 13th, which raises quite a few questions. That's about it, I think, isn't it, Amy?
Yes. So let me see. Yes, I had to pinch myself. Really, I did. I was so excited. Like I just felt like I could breathe. Like, oh my God, this is over. Yes. So enough about that. I can move on positively and not worry about anything else, except getting to the bottom of this case. So Derek German, as everyone knows, is Libby's dad. And all we can do is take what has been provided to us by the Indiana My Case status documents and what we know of Derek. I'm going to put this up on the screen. Do you want me to read this, Quester, or do you want to read it? Quester?
No, I'm happy with you reading it. You're good at that.
Okay. So Derek German, and from here forward, he will be known as DG. He appears on Snitch Tracker, a site that outs informants. In 2008, now mind you, this is over 10 years before the murders, 2008, Derek German was arrested with Dustin Prater, who was a member of the Kokomo crew, for theft of anhydrous ammonia from Royster Clark Incorporated, improper storage of anhydrous ammonia, and possession of anhydrous ammonia with intent to manufacture drugs. Mike Thomas was the investigating officer. Mike Thomas is Michael Thomas, the one that you are aware of, who tried to bring in professional people in this case that he was shot down with. And then there was a lawsuit filed because he was demoted after running for sheriff against Tony Liggett and lost. And he's kind of been in and out of the mainstream media as far as information, but he's the one who investigated this. Gabe Ellis was arrested with HF. So, Questor, can you verify what HF is? It says possibly Heather Ferris. So is HF a person or is HF a material?
HF is a person. The only HF I can find linked with Gabe Ellis is Heather Ferris.
Okay. So those of you who follow this case, please start taking notes. Yet to confirm for intent to manufacture meth at Royster Clark Incorporated in August of 2008, Gabe Ellis was arrested for intent to manufacture meth and later arrested and charged with illegal possession of anhydrous ammonia. Then in 2011, Derek German pleas by agreement were filed and agreed to. So he took a plea deal in 2011. In 2009, Paige Turley, a member of the Kokomo crew, and 21 others were arrested for dealing in cocaine and other drugs. Now, Paige Turley, just remember, was also a name associated with the disappearance of McClurkin in Kokomo. In 2014, Derek German was arrested on multiple counts of manufacturing and distribution of methamphetamines, possession of a narcotic drug, and possession of methamphetamine. He was convicted in 2015 on all counts and declared a recidivist criminal. Again, he pled what? Bargained? Questor, help me out here. What does that mean?
Plea bargained.
Okay, again, he plea bargained. Okay. Agreeing to okay. He again plea bargained, agreed to cooperate with ISP, FBI, and the DEA. This reduced his likely sentence of 20 years to 1,100 days. However, Judge Fouts suspended the preceding judge's sentence. So Judge Fouts suspended the sentence, commuting it to 1 day plus time served and probation. What? He went from 20 years to 1,100 days to 1 day plus time served.
That's one hell of a bargain, isn't it? You have to wonder what it cost.
Derek German was arrested later with Jamie Cheshire on suspicion of dealing methamphetamine. Again, Derek German walked. Jamie Cheshire did not. Micah, Josh Lang's brother-in-law, was arrested for possession of meth. And Josh Lang himself was arrested for dealing with meth. Josh Lang was another meth cook and sentenced to 5 years. Up to then, Josh Lang and Derek German were the leading suppliers in the area from 2012 to 2015. Josh Lang was later arrested for selling meth to a confidential informant 5 times between March and July of 2014 and faced 5 felony counts of dealing in meth. At the time of the murders, Josh Lang was dating Tara, Derek German's sister. Let me check chat. Thanks, guys. Yes, I'm so excited about the results. You have no idea. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading the document. Derek German also ratted up Gabe Ellis and Tyler French, both members of the Kokomo crew. Derek German had been getting his supply from Gabe Ellis, who was tied to the Chicago Sonoma drug cartel and was a member of Brad Holder's group. Okay, I have to stop right there. So, Questor, can you elaborate on how all of this correlates back to Brad Holder? Because that's a shocking piece of evidence that I have a hard time understanding.
No. Brad Holder was, shall we say, connected to quite a lot of groups, not just his Odinist ones. He was connected to a lot of the Kokomo people, Sons of Odin, things like that. So within that, he had a group of, shall we say, friends. And this is where the link is. How deep he was connected, I don't know. I've not found anything to say he was incredibly deeply connected or even up to anything. There's just a point that there is a link there.
So okay. Do we have any like visual documents that show that he was connected?
No. This is only word of mouth from a person who I trust.
Okay. So, Gabe Ellis had a long record of serious violence, true. Sexual violence, true. Drug-related charges, and was a child predator. By 2015, Gabe Ellis had 10 convictions of these, yet was never in prison long, and a few here and there. Judge Fouts saw to that. Gabe Ellis resembled the young bridge guy sketch and was the last person Karina McClurkin was seen with. Gabe Ellis's group was allegedly trafficking Karina McClurkin to get her and her brother's drug debt paid. His blood brother, Kyle Stacy, was also a convicted felon, as was the associate Paige Turley. Gray Bellis and Kyle Stacy were also members of the Kokomo crew. I have a lot of information on Kyle Stacy. I have someone who is a great source on Kyle Stacy, and we have to figure out how it connects, if it does connect. The Ellis gang were better rivals of the Palladinos. And Derek German was the major meth dealer in the area at the time. Derek German was arrested for stealing farm chemicals from local farmers that are used to manufacture meth. For a lower sentence, he ratted out a part of the large part of one of the drug trafficking groups. GK, which would be Garrett Kurtz, spent time during his youth at his dad's friend's property. The friend was Ron Logan. Thus, Garrett Kurtz had intimate knowledge of the area in which Abby and Libby were found. Garrett Kurtz was, until January 17th, when he had a big bust up, a very close friend of Michaela, Libby's cousin. He was also an associate of Jason Palladino and Jason Dunker. Is it Jason Dunker, or is Jason Dunker the right name?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. On April of 2015, Derek German was charged with possession of methamphetamine and marijuana. This is huge, he gave the Samuel Milroy address again. He began plea bargaining again. A month later, Bobby Joe Burris was charged with possession of methamphetamine, possession of paraphernalia, and possession of a synthetic drug. In July of 2015, Derek German's plea in 2015, Derek German's plea bargain was filed, and he spent only 24 days in prison. Derek German and the family then began receiving threats stemming from Derek German rattling up his uncle, Dale Wood, and Christy Martin, a member of the Kokomo and Rushville drug group, resulting in a 9-year stretch for Christy Martin. Derek German was getting his drugs from Christy Martin at the time, who in turn got her stash from Cook in Rushville. Christy Martin was a good friend of Gabe Ellis. Chester Whitmore, who is now dead, was Derek German's accomplice in meth production. He was Derek German's cook. Derek German kept all of the dope and allegedly wasn't adverse to betting his incarceration. He wasn't, okay, I'm sorry. Getting twisted up here. Chester Whitmore, now dead, was Derek German's accomplice in meth production. He was Derek German's cook. Derek German kept all the dope and allegedly wasn't adverse to betting his incarcerated friend's woman. On one occasion, Sean O'Brien's girlfriend was at DG's house. Okay, who is Sean O'Brien?
Not found out that yet.
So you just have the name?
I only have the name, yeah. I haven't been able to find any details on him yet. Still looking. I won't give up.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. On one occasion, Sean O'Brien's girlfriend was at Derek German's house on Samuel Milroy Road when someone walked in and asked if she was dead, and she was slumped over the bed. Derek German said it was only because she was high. During all of this, Aaron Tinner emerged as a significant meth manufacturer and distributor who supplied Jennifer McClelland, Nick's first cousin, who was a meth dealer. In 2017, in Lafayette and surrounding areas, 150 people were arrested. Little
Just a quickie,
500. Go ahead.
Amy.
Yeah.
In the chat, Carl Davis 2705 just said they know Sean O'Brien.
Okay. Spill the beans.
These people in chat hold so much information.
So
Brilliant.
Kyle Davis, who is Sean Davis? Or I'm sorry, Sean O'Brien.
Have you read what he said? She?
Hold on, I'm looking.
No. Carl said, I'm at work listening, but I'll reach out to you later on. I grew up next to the Patties as well.
I see it now. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look forward to that.
I will. Okay. So I'll keep reading. So,
2017, the third paragraph up in Lafayette.
Okay, 2017 in Lafayette and surrounding areas, 150 people were arrested. Little 500 weekend bust. Most due to info from Derek German. He was working for one of the gangs, but after turning state's evidence, he had a falling out with them and went to work for the rival group. A major case in this was the Pierre Burnett Jr., aka Doe. He was sentenced to 188 months in August of 2017 for leading a heroin and cocaine distribution ring. His operations were linked to the dark web and involved significant drug trafficking activities in the Indianapolis area. Derek German had also dabbled with heroin. On the 12th of February 2017, Derek said in trial, I had to pick up Libby from an overnight at another friend's house. And then we went straight to Abby's house to pick her up. This was manifestly an untrue perjury. Kelsey German said in trial that at noon, she picked up Liberty from a stayover at Allison's. Then they went geocaching on the trails until 2 p.m. when she took Liberty to the park to play softball. Geolocation info extracted from Libby's phone comports that Kelsey German's testimony, but not Derek German's. Abby was staying at Cliff Williams Hotel, her grandfather. Anyway, so would not have been at her house for Derek German to pick her up. And Cliff Williams said he took Abby to the ballpark. On February 13th of 2017, according to Derek German, Abby and Libby woke up around 10 a.m. and he made them banana pancakes, then left to run errands. It was never said what those errands were. He said he left the Patties at 1:20 to go to Frankfurt to take photos for Becky's business. Becky Patty said she sent him because the previous photos had been lost. Coincidentally, Derek German said the ones he took then Derek German said the ones that he took then were later lost. So are we supposed, so is this saying that both sets of photos in Frankfurt are both lost now?
Apparently so.
Okay. So Becky Patty said Derek German was in Frankfurt at 1 o'clock. So 20 minutes before Derek German said he left the house. It is about 35 minutes of a drive from the Patties to Frankfurt. Derek German told law enforcement he was in Cutler when he received Liberty's call, timed at 1:38, asking if he could pick them up from the trails if Kelsey took them there. That puts Derek German 15 minutes away from the trails at 1:38. What if Derek German never went to Frankfurt? As Derek German's Frankfurt photos were lost, we have nothing to prove he went. Being 15 minutes away from the trails at 1:38, he could have conceivably got to the trails by 1:56. And we know Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks saw a vehicle like his at the Mears lot at about that time. Thus, is it possible that Derek German was at Mears about the time Kelsey German says she dropped off Abby and Libby? Okay, let's stop right there. And I need you, Quester, to elaborate on that. And why, like, this is so out of the realm of the motive or serious, like, just explain where you're going here with this.
Well, what I'm doing in there is theorizing. I'm not accusing, I'm not saying it did happen. I'm just saying that the times would allow this. And the times would allow, for instance, for it to have been Derek German that dropped them off. Or, for instance, Derek German to have got there just before or just after they were dropped off.
Okay, so I'm gonna challenge you here on this. How, and I'm not opposed to Derek German dropping them off because Derek dropping them off makes more sense than Kelsey dropping them off when Derek was leaving prior to, and Kelsey cannot seem to keep her story straight on what time she dropped them off. But we know that Derek had to cover his ass because Derek was not supposed to be driving. Derek didn't have a driver's license. He didn't have insurance. He was suspended. So just like Ron Logan, Derek had reason to hide the fact that he was driving here, there, or otherwise. But yet he's still claiming that he drove to Frankfurt. So why would he lie about his daughters being dropped off? And if he did drop the girls off, what does that, how does that change the scenario of what happened with the 2:05 and 10-second bridge photo, the 2:07 Abby photo, and the 2:13 bridge guy video? Who dropped them off? What's, can you, do you have an opinion?
It wouldn't necessarily change anything that's said to have happened on the trails. What it would change is Kelsey, as in, you weren't there, Kelsey. Nothing you've said is true. Everything you've said has been to help your dad avoid admitting that he was driving without a license. Now that in itself, well, they were all doing it out there from what I can see. So it's not that big a deal.
Right.
But it's the knock on. If Kelsey wasn't there and Derek dropped them off, and everything Kelsey says about she watched them walk up the trails, everything like that is all gone. Seeing Bree at Freedom Bridge, it's gone. The whole lot has gone. And we've now got a massive hole. Now bear in mind that all those pictures we've got of Abby and Libby on their way to the trail, not one shows the driver. Yeah? So it leaves it open to this posit.
Okay.
I wouldn't fault Derek for taking them, apart from the fact that he didn't have a license. And I wouldn't say it's the aha, we've caught you moment. In regard to Derek, all I would say is that it takes what Kelsey's saying right out of the game. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep reading. So, so we have both sets of photos, the previous photos from Frankfurt lost, and then we have the current photos that Derek was supposed to have taken that day lost. Becky Patty said Derek German was in Frankfurt at 1 o'clock. So 20 minutes before, Derek German said he left her house. It is about a 30-minute drive from the Patties to Frankfurt. Derek German told law enforcement that he was in Cutler when he received Libby's call, timed at 1:38, asking if he could pick them up from the trails if Kelsey dropped them off. That puts Derek German 15 minutes away from the trail. What if Derek German never went to Frankfurt? This is allegedly, and this is speculation. This is a hypothesis. What if Derek German never went to Frankfurt? As Derek German's Frankfurt photos were lost, we have nothing to prove he went. Being 15 minutes away from the trails at 1:38, he could have conceivably got to the trails by 1:56, 4 minutes before 2 p.m. And we know Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks saw a vehicle like his at the Mears lot at about that same time. Thus, it is possible that Derek German was at Mears about the time that Kelsey German says she dropped off Abby and Libby. And as much as I want to scream from the rooftops that that's not true, it is emphatically true. Derek German's car was reported to law enforcement by Daniel Pearson and others as a white station wagon type Subaru Impreza being at the Mears lot a half hour before he claimed he even called Libby on Wilson's Bridge saying he was on his way.
You can also add in regarding this, I was at Cutler. Well, we don't even have evidence that he was.
And
the only thing that would support him being in Cutler would be if he was going to Frankfurt. And we don't have evidence that he did. So that cascades back as well. All we know is that he left around the time that Abby and Libby did.
And then to back this all up, we have proof. Well, it's in the exhibits. Derek German's phone was extracted. Yet no one would have known that unless you read the fine print in all of the exhibits. But Derek German's phone was extracted. And the state never utilized any of his phone extraction information to prove where he was, what messages he's received, what messages or phone calls he made. Why? Why is everything smoke and fucking mirrors with this case if they're not trying to hide something? Anywho.
Now, if it did start just from trying to hide the fact he was driving, then it certainly cascaded, didn't it? And once you get into one lie, you get into 2 lies to 4 lies to 8 lies. And where do you go from there? So I'm not of the belief that Derek took his daughter and Abby there to hand them over to anybody. I can't even envisage him doing that. That's a very big jump. But what I'm theorizing in this what if is, if he did drive them there, he wouldn't want to be done by the police for doing that. Kelsey took that over and said, no, I dropped them, and off she went. But unfortunately, when you've lied like that, you've then got to support that lie. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Kelsey's had a really hard time supporting that scenario. And not just because, she dropped them off at 140, 150. No, it's all of the above. It's everything that she has gone out on a limb to claim that she, she pulled over, the girls got out, she opened her trunk, she gave them sweatshirts. Well, we know now that Abby already had on a sweat jacket. We know now that she wasn't on the phone the entire time with her boyfriend. And the time that she dropped the girls off until the time that we saw them on the trail doesn't line up. And then you've got Derek German in all of these other places that he's claiming, but yet you have witnesses showing his vehicle is at the trails. That's a problem. And it's only a problem when it's not explained. Explain it and we can move on. Here, give me 1 second, Fungi. Or Quester, sorry. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Don't forget, guys, we are theorizing here. We're not accusing.
Okay, sorry. I had to let my dogs out. Yeah, we're not accusing. We're just taking all the loose ends and trying to cut, tie, and burn them and figure out why we have all these loose ends. And the fact of the matter is, when it comes to Derek German, there's no arguing his behavior. As a father, he's never spoken out. He's never done an interview. He testified at trial, and what he testified to at trial is really all fabricated. That's not us making it up. That's fact. Like, Anna Williams testified to picking up the girls, taking them home, getting Abby's paint supplies, etc. Like, Derek German is filling in gray areas with false information. And he's been let off the hook time and time and time again.
If you look in the extracted data at the geolocations on the 12th, you can follow Anna Williams' journey from picking them up at the park, going to her house, and then going on to the patties. You can follow it all the way through from the geolocations. So there's no way it was Derek.
And I don't understand how he was able to be put on the stand and say these things and no one know the truth. The defense team did not know the truth about where the victims in this case moved from the 12th to the 13th. They didn't have a clue. He was able to get up there and testify, and they said, okay. That pisses me off. That really pisses me off.
Litigation examiner in the chat is 100% correct. Derek German didn't report them missing. It was Mike.
Right. And I was told that it was Mike because they were trying. And here's the crazy thing. I've been told that it was Mike Patty who reported the girls missing and didn't go to law enforcement personally, but made a call to a friend because he was trying to protect Derek because Derek wasn't supposed to be driving. Okay. But then
there we are again. Yeah.
Then you're going to use the alibi that Derek didn't drop off the girls. He was only supposed to pick them up and he drove to Frankfurt. That would have what? Eluded him from any charges of being a suspended driver? What is missing in this scenario? It's okay for it to be reported that Derek drove to Frankfurt to take photographs and he was supposed to pick up the girls and they didn't show up. So that leads me back to who dropped the girls off. At that point in time, when you're dealing with two teenage girls being dropped off, does it really matter who dropped them off?
What matters is the time they were dropped off.
Exactly. The time is what's important. The time has always been the issue. And we cannot, I don't care who you are, defense attorney, prosecuting attorney, whoever, we cannot escape the fact that the shit and timestamps and video and photographs on the phone found with the girls does not add up. For years, we looked at this photo of Abby on the bridge, 207. People for years pointed out issues with this photo. It was photoshopped. It wasn't taken there. She was put on the bridge. She was planted on the bridge. This photo was generated from her being by a lakeside while she's fishing or doing whatever, and it was photoshopped and planted on the bridge. Okay, you guys are all full of shit. There's a picture of Abby on the bridge at 2:07. Get over it. Then we get to trial and we find out this picture is fucking nowhere to be found. Okay. That opens for me Pandora's box. The sky's the limit. Where did this photo come from? How did it get there? How was it embedded on the phone? The phone that was found, because we cannot prove that the phone that was found is the phones that were being used on the bridge. We have multiple images discussed long before the discrepancy of the 2:07 photo and the 2:05 10-second photo of the empty bridge being posted. Long before that, we have arguments about all of this. And we have information and descriptions of Libby leaning down over the bridge. We have descriptions of multiple people behind Abby wearing dark clothing that was posted and then, for whatever reason, evaporated into thin air. We have all of these things prior to law enforcement stepping in and taking control, and Nick McClellan saying anybody who speaks to law enforcement from the department needs to go through him. What are we hiding? Where are these images? And how do we have so many reports of so many people saying they saw them and then they disappeared? Prior to this case going southbound into a rabbit hole that we've been trying to dig ourselves out of, it doesn't make any sense, except it does make sense that there is a complete conspiracy and there is complete contradiction in the truth that we're being shown.
Into all that mix, you can also chuck in the fact that the phone geolocated on the trail at 2:05.
2:05 and 8 seconds.
Yeah. And if you recall, the 2:05 photograph taken at the bridge, allegedly, that they did locate where it is. It was in the phone's memory. You know, it's escaped me the word for it. But basically, it's from a different time that photograph was taken, and it went into the phone's memory, and it had been sitting there, and it had been taken out to be used. So we have bogus location, 2 bogus pictures that takes us right the way through from when they're supposed to have been dropped off, right the way through to the video. The whole lot is highly questionable. Now we have the drop-off, highly questionable, and indeed the whole journey from the patties to the drop-off, highly questionable. We have a big hole between leaving the house. We don't even know for sure that was when they left, but between leaving the house and that video.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Maria, 8419, that's my point. This is my exact point. But this is what Maria says. But why would it be all right to say Derek German drove to Frankfurt, but not to take the girls to the trails? He's still driving without a license, so it can't be to hide that he was driving. Exactly. And like Quester just said, What it changes is the drop-off time. And there's enough GPS information to show when the girls appeared on the trail. 3/4 of the way to the trail, the GPS is unaccounted for. But then the girls appear on the trail.
You could theorize that the white car seen on the Harbour Store cam was Kelsey, and that she'd left her home and just driven that route to go to her boyfriend's, and she didn't drop off the girls. The girls had been dropped off earlier. And when they were questioned, she covered for her father, who was driving illegally, without realizing the repercussions. And then slowly she realized the repercussions, and that's why she's all over the place.
Kelsey has been all over the place. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at Derek German's testimony.
At line 7, he says he ran to her house a lot. Why?
So, line 11, question. Are you familiar with Abby Williams having spent the night at the house where you were living with Liberty German the night before she went missing? Yeah, I picked her up. That's a lie. He did not pick her up. Anna, I mean, I'm sorry, but this is a fucking lie. And whether it's nefarious or not, we have Anna on the stand saying she picked up the girls, took them to her house, got paint supplies, and then dropped them off at the Patties.
Can I just pick out one? Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just pick out one thing that was said in there on line 11. Yeah. At the house where you were living with Libby. Yeah.
He wasn't even living there.
Samuel, what's it road, wasn't he?
Yes. So when the murders happened, Becky Patty and Mike Patty and Derek all tried to pretend that Derek was living at the Patty's residence. He was not.
Every single illegal thing, he said he was at Samuel Milroy.
He was living at Samuel Milroy, right across the street from City Park. He wasn't even living at the Patty's address at this time. So, yeah, I picked her up. 14. Okay, question. Okay, was there anything that you remembered of note the day before? What were the kids doing, if you were even around? The day before, he says. Yeah, I had to pick Liberty German up from an overnight at a friend's house, and then we went straight to Abby Williams' house to pick her up. That is a fucking lie. That is a fucking lie. Abby was in Monticello with her grandfather, staying the night at a hotel. Okay, no big deal. But why are you getting on the stand under oath and fabricating this whole story? Why?
There was absolutely no reason for him to have thrown that in. He could have just shut his mouth.
Right. Okay.
But he gave what he's doing there is he's giving himself an alibi for that time.
And that time that we know of is inconsequential. There's nothing that
as far
he's
as we
being
know.
accused of. There's nothing that he's being accused of. There's nothing that's supposed to be transpiring on the evening of the 12th where he has to give a false narrative for.
Yeah. Why would he risk perjury? Well, he didn't risk it, he did it. To cover something he didn't even need to say.
Yeah.
Unless he felt he needed to put himself somewhere.
Or he needed to make himself out to be the interactive dad, the go-to dad, the all, I got all the bases covered for my daughter dad, until she comes up dead in the woods, and then you're never going to hear from me again. Because that's what's happened. We have never heard a goddamn word from Derek German, and I don't care how anyone feels about what I'm saying. If you are a doting dad, like Becky Patty portrays Derek as being, and if this was a crime of opportunity, a crime of a lone wolf, or anything else, you would be forefront and center looking for the culprit. You would be advocating to try and find the murderer of your child, unless you felt guilty of the fact that your child has now been a target of revenge because of your own doing. Which makes more plausible sense? And then let me tie in Daniel Pearson, who was also in the meth ring. We can go on and we can go down every rabbit hole that there is possible, but I'm telling you, the answer is within a 2-hour time frame, circulating around the Monon trails and the Monon High Bridge. Our culprit is right there. It's not some lone wolf who came in from somewhere else who there was no open door on the bridge that anyone could have been on that no one didn't see them. From the cars at the mayor's lot, from all of the multiple witnesses that we have who were coming and going on the bridge, on the south end of the bridge, on the north end of the bridge, walking a dog, paper plates on a car, people parked at the fucking CPS lot. We can go on and on and on. However, there is no open, clear path of a 45-minute range for a lone wolf to have entered the trails, walked the entire Freedom Trail all the way to the Monon High Bridge, stood there on the platform, waited for Abby and Libby to show up on happenstance, and then follow them, and then take them across the creek and kill them, and then jet without being seen. That did not happen. It did not happen.
But to throw another spanner in, we know that the 205 picture is bogus. We also know that the state held it as true as long as they could, and it's only because they've now been caught out that we now know it's bogus, and we also know the other one is. Now, if we go back to the excellent shadow work that Fungi did, it showed the sunlight and the shadows on the video does not fit either. If you then consider that the 205 photograph was taken out of the memory of the phone and apply that to the video, was the video taken out of the memory as well and has been used in the same manner? It's very likely, because the times are all wrong. Everything seems to be wrong in it. And if that's true, then we have absolutely nothing that says they even went to the trails, let alone crossed the bridge, let alone met somebody at the end of the bridge, or anything. The whole lot is like dominoes. The whole lot is crashing down. Yeah.
Yeah. And who would have had the capabilities of doing any of that?
With the phone data.
Who would have had the capabilities tech-wise to have fucked with the phone, fucked with the imagery, fucked with the video, and inserted things on the phone? I mean, I'm not a tech savvy person.
Well, a tech savvy person could do it, and stick my neck out. So could law enforcement.
Okay, so let's review this really quick. I'm going to share my screen. Commissioners approved the county government website. Carroll County commissioners decided at the Monday morning meeting to work with Delphi Community High School advanced interactive media students to establish a dedicated Carroll County government presence on the internet. Students Brett Abramazik, grade 11, and Daniel Pearson, grade 10, gave a formal presentation to display the work that they had accomplished as a response to a request by the courthouse employee, Tina Johnson, who works in the county auditor's office. Currently, the site address is www.carrollcountycourthouse.weebly.com, but will be changed to a name that will more fully describe the content. Kinsey recommended commissioners purchase a domain name for approximately $40 a year for search clarity. She said when the domain name is purchased, the word Weebly will be deleted from the address. The site will feature photos from around the county and inside and outside of the courthouse. Pages will be developed and added for each department by the students under the direction of the county government. It was mutually decided that the students will interview each department head to develop the content for their page. County Auditor Elaine Hathaway was charged with the site maintenance and page content. So
he was obviously capable of doing what's been done.
And he also created a video of a girl being abducted off the High Bridge.
If in our theory, we're positing that Derek took them, not Kelsey, then that would explain why Kelsey did not know what they were wearing.
Yeah, because she was full of shit.
Yeah. The description she gave, she was wrong. And all this business about, I gave him the jersey. That's backsliding, trying to cover up a mistake.
And the thing is it covering her mistake, or is it trying to convey to the public that she was a great big sister? You know, I made sure the girls had some friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is who was on the trails and when. And nothing that we have been told by the state can be proven. It's all a lie. And we have, first of all, hold on.
So what we have at the moment is we have Daniel Pearson had the technical ability to do what we're positing. He was on the trails. He had a reason for wanting revenge against Derek. A person spitting image of him was seen on the bridge.
Explain that reason. Hold on. No. And see, this is the hard part about all of this, is because Everything is speculation. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm looking for it. Fuck. Where is it? Okay, first of all, explain why Daniel Pearson would have had a reason.
The story goes that Daniel Pearson received some, I think it was fentanyl from Derek German. And his fiance got hold of it. And she then had a miscarriage. And the story is that fentanyl was a bad lot. Thrown into the mix is also that Megan Allen was also bad from it. If that story is true, we have Daniel Pearson having lost his child due to bad drugs from Derek. And it would have been, time-wise, it had to have been not very long before all this with Libby and Abby occurred. Okay?
Yes. And
Okay,
now
yep.
Now I'm going to pull up something else that reiterates that. Give me 1 second. I thought I already had it in here, but I don't. It's right here. So this person is talking about someone related to the drug scene. He was necessarily directly involved in the murders of those girls that day. He has a role somehow. He definitely knew. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay, yeah, this is the right one. He has a role somehow. He definitely knew about the crime, who committed it, how, and why very shortly after the crime, but 2 other men also did. All we know is that these 3 men heard the details of the crime soon after it was committed. We don't know if they knew beforehand or if they were in on some larger plot. The motive of the murders is drugs, specifically methamphetamine. The murders were apparently paybacks for Derek German's meth involvement, which angered a lot of people. They took it out on his daughter, but Abby was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The background on this is right before the murders, 3 things happened in the local drug/meth scene. Some very bad meth was around. It made a lot of people sick and crazy. This meth was said to originate with Derek German. Leonard, the man who falsely confessed to the murders, here's another one, blames Derek for killing his unborn child. As he says, Derek's meth caused his wife to have a miscarriage. Now, is Leonard a fake name for Daniel Pearson? Or is someone applying this hypothesis to Daniel Pearson, and it's actually a guy named Leonard? However, we have Derek being seen at the trails at least 30 minutes before he claimed to have been there. Was he there to make a drug deal with Daniel Pearson? Quester?
It's possible. It's possible that both of the times when he seems to have disappeared on the 12th and the 13th were part of his drug business. I've never heard of a Leonard anywhere in this case.
I haven't either. That's why I feel like it's a fake name.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to...
I'll throw in one thing here, and I'll start with a caveat. This is supposed to have been on a Greeno interview, and we all know what I think of Greeno. But apparently, very early in the case, Daniel Pearson went on to one of his live interviews crying and saying that he was involved and asking Greeno to help cover for him. Now, I've not been able to find that. So at the moment, I'm putting it into the Greeno said it box. But it's worth bearing that in mind if anybody knows where that interview might be.
It's gone. I can tell you right now it's gone. Everything that Greeno did in the early days is gone. He lost his channel. Those videos are gone. And I'm sure he's not willing to share any of that. Regardless, we have enough information right now to hold Daniel Pearson to the fire. And as many rabbit holes that we've gone down between the phone data that everybody thought was, or I'm not going to say everybody thought, but a lot of people on the naysay side thought that it was ridiculous that we were wasting our time on that. We exhausted the phone data, and within our means, we can only prove so much without an expert coming in. Then we've gone back to the timeline of the trails, who was there, who seen what, who did what. And more recently, I've been given additional information that basically opens up a whole new plethora of questions, starting with, and we've been over this before, but now it seems to be more so pertinent to the case. And I'm talking about the people who all converged on the bridge around the time that Abby and Libby were supposed to be there.
All of whom, coincidentally, have very strong links to all the past behavior of Derek, drug-wise.
Correct. So here I have put together the 3 images that I feel are significant to exploiting and blowing apart Cheyenne Mills' testimony. And we know this is her photo, the upper left-hand corner, the one that has the Faith Inman stamped name on it. And I have feelers out about the Faith Inman stamp, but I haven't gotten any answers yet. Why is this name here? This name is not an acronym. It's not it's not anything but a person. Faith Inman is an actual person who has connections to Cheyenne. But this picture, number 1, shows a pair of shoes on the feet of a person with ripped jeans. And we're going to go over here to the right to Cheyenne's post. First off, my initial response is, why didn't you message me? You clearly have my entire name, so I'm pretty positive that you would have found a Cheyenne Mikisha, but thanks to you, I have everyone and their brother in my inbox acting like McGruff, the crime dog. Secondly, I did report my findings to the police station as soon as I heard the news. 2 weeks later, a detective came and spoke with me for a lengthy amount of time. I showed him the pictures I took and explained what I saw. I described my car and other vehicles around me, plus other information that is none of anyone's concern. He has my contact information and is able to use that to his advantage. Third, how is my picture weird? It was stated that her picture was weird because of the rips in her jeans and the red patches. Some people were saying that her jeans appeared to be stained with blood. Third, how is my pictures weird? I'm an avid hiker, a nature enthusiast. I enjoy agriculture and other outdoor photography. I am in love with the outdoors. And referencing why I was there on that day when I should have been at work is completely close-minded. Not everyone works a factory job or even an office job. That just so happened to be a warmer day and I was off work and I went to enjoy it. The rest of it is irrelevant, but go ahead and read it if you want to. But we know this picture was taken by Cheyenne, and I've labeled it number 1, the shoes. Then we have this person beside her to the left with gray shoes and black laces and carrying the katana sword, number 2. Well, by all accounts and by her testimony, Cheyenne was on the bridge that day with this young lady down here in the right-hand corner, which is Shelby Duncan. This photograph was taken as they were leaving the south end of the bridge and heading back towards the north end of the bridge. This right here is the photo, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. This is the photo that law enforcement showed up with to Cheyenne's house in 2023. Long after Rick Allen had been arrested and long after Rick Allen had been suffering in Westville prison. And they're asking Cheyenne, according to her testimony that is documented in the trial transcripts, is this Cheryl Loeffler? She says, no, it's Shelby Duncan. Is this Cheryl Loeffler? No, it's Shelby Duncan. So if Cheyenne is on the trails and on the bridge with Shelby Duncan, number 3 depicts a zoomed in screenshot of Shelby's shoes. Are they not white? Do they have black laces? And if you don't think they do, then we need to understand that the person up here that I have numbered number 2 is someone completely different. On February 13th, as Cheyenne is reportedly crossing the bridge with Shelby Duncan, but this shoe is not the same shoe that's on Shelby Duncan. Am I losing my mind, or is that not what's there? No, radar. No. Okay. Here, let's go back. I'm going to pull up Cheyenne's testimony. They weren't asking about Shelby Duncan. They were asking about Cheryl Loeffler. And I'm going to show you. Hold on, give me 1 second. Questor, take over for a minute while I pull this up.
Yeah. In defense of what AK Radar's saying, I believe a long time ago it was said that they were effectively verbally bullying her to try and make her say it was Shelby Hicks. And she was saying, no, it's Shelby Duncan. I do remember that. The police went round there verbally bullying her. But I'm also pretty certain you're right that in the trial, she said differently.
In the trial, she claims that she was asked about Cheryl Loeffler. Hold on.
So we get yet another change of story. Not like that's ever happened before in this case.
No. Give me a second. Keep talking, Questor, because it's going to take me a second to find this in all of these pages. I thought I had it timed out, but I didn't.
That katana, by the way, is not a tooth katana. It's what they call a training katana, which would be made out of wood. That's why it doesn't look shiny and metallic. You can get hold of the training katanas quite easily. They're very strong, so they do make a very good walking stick. But they're still referred to as katanas, just in case anyone was wondering.
Okay, so here we go. Yeah, Fungi was up late last night. She had some chores to do. She has the link. She says she might pop in, so she's not here yet. So this is under the direct examination of Cheyenne Mill. This is talking about a letter that Cheyenne sent to the prosecutor. And he's asking, are you familiar with this? And she says, yes. Okay. About 9 lineups from the bottom, there's a reference. Mr. Rossi asks, may I approach, Judge? The court, you may. Question, there's a reference here to you referencing that shortly after you passed Richard Allen. Are you familiar with that reference? Okay. This right here pisses me off, that a defense attorney would even use that statement in a line of questioning, like, you passed Richard Allen. So fuck the dumb, fuck everything else. We're now going to put Rick Allen on the trail. There's a reference here to you referencing that shortly after you passed Richard Allen. Are you familiar with that reference? Yes, that was when the question is, are you familiar with it? Yes. Did she pass fucking Richard Allen or did she pass David McCain? Like every time I go through this shit, it pisses me off even more. Question, okay, so tell, Are those your words? I put that in the letter because like I said, everything was posted on Facebook. There were leaks. There was fake stuff. There was stuff said that I didn't say. And that's why it's saying I put that, because that was in one of the leaks. It said that Richard Allen, and I saw each other, which I did not state that in my deposition. I never said I saw him. I said I saw one man, and Shelby Hicks and Shelby Duncan. But the reason why I put this is this whole letter is explaining, I saw some crazy stuff online that said stuff that I didn't say. I want this fixed. It was a call for help and I didn't receive it. Okay. So you don't know if you saw Richard Allen? No. Either way, you don't know? Okay. But the purpose of the letter was to try and get law enforcement's attention. Yeah, because to help me with what I was going through. Mr. Rosie. Okay. I don't have any further. The court. Miss Diener. Miss Mill, when you wrote the letter, you make reference to Richard Allen. You're telling us today you're not saying that you passed Richard Allen. You're saying that you passed someone and you were being accused of passing Mr. Allen? Correct. Yes. And that was on social media? Correct. Yes. And it wasn't law enforcement harassing you on social media. It was people in the public. Correct. And do you remember meeting with law enforcement in February of 2017 on the 28th? Answer. The one at Indiana Beach? Question. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So you do recall that the officer you passed, a man that was taking pictures, hold on. Okay, so you do recall the officer that you passed, a man that was taking pictures and had a camera around his neck. Is that the person you were referring to in the letter that makes it look like you're talking about Richard Allen? And she says, yes. Now, hold on. Okay. I think I went well past what I wanted to. So, okay, let me read this. So, Cheyenne sent a letter to the court in December of 2022. Did you hear from law enforcement again? I had one show up at my house. Okay. Can you estimate when that might have been? I had it on my list, but I wasn't. Would it help to look at your notes to refresh your recollection? Can I please? Yes, for that one. I'm not exactly sure when they showed up to my house. I think it was 2023. I did not have a date for that, but it would have been, I'm assuming, 2023. All right. And what was the nature of the contact? The officer showed up at my house with a picture of Shelby Duncan. Hold on. I have to take off the comment. of Shelby Duncan on the bridge that day, which I don't have, but somehow they had it and they thought it was a different person. They asked if it was Cheryl Loeffler, which was my sister-in-law at the time, and I said no. And the officer was like, okay, so who is it? And I said, it's Shelby Duncan. And they said, the man, he said, so it's Shelby Hicks, correct? I said, no, it's Shelby Duncan. And I was leaving outside. I was already had my car started. I had my 2-year-old in my hand and I was ready to leave. And one last time before I got in his car, he said, is this Shelby Hicks? And I said, no, it's Shelby Duncan. And he said, okay, thank you. And he got in his car and left.
Classic bullying.
So
For some reason, they wanted it to be Shelby Hicks.
Shelby Hicks or Cheryl Loeffler, who we have never heard from. And going back, she claims Cheyenne claims that Cheryl Loeffler was her sister-in-law. So now, let me break down. I know I did this a little bit the other day, but I'm going to do it again because it's worth repeating. So we know by this document that Betsy Blair, if you look up here in this little tiny fucking box, she describes the age of the person that she saw, which was a 20-year-old. It's not 20 to 30 or 20 to 40. She described a 20-year-old. Elizabeth J. Blair. By the time we got to trial, that age range has expanded for whatever reason. This right here, allegedly, I'm going to use the word allegedly, was written by Daniel Pearson. I know I read it the other day, and I think we got sidetracked, but I'm going to break this down in depth. So we now know at trial that the old bridge guy sketch was created by who? No one wants to answer? Quester, who created the old bridge guy sketch?
It was a collection, wasn't it? There's a few people that gave to it, and the artist himself invented the lower part of the face because nobody could give him any information about that.
But ultimately, ultimately at trial, it was stated that the old bridge guy sketch was created by Sarah Carbaugh.
Yes.
Michelle,
Sarah
thank
Carbour,
you.
in fact, did a completely different sketch
Michelle,
of
thank
someone.
you. Girl, and oh, wait a minute. Michelle, I just got your PayPal thing the other day. Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver and on many levels and ways that you don't know, but thank you so much. Being off work is rough. So yeah, Sarah Colbra was supposedly the person who created the old bridge guy sketch. So we are going to read this document right here that was allegedly posted by Daniel Pearson. I don't have a date. So this is all hypothetical and allegedly. Many people wonder about this sketch still. I will explain it once and for all. The sketch you see below took 5 months to create and was released on July 17th, 2017. Okay, so we know that's factual because that's when the sketch was released. At the time, we didn't know who was behind creating the sketch. The sketch, according to this post, was made with the input of 2 witnesses and Libby's video. The 2 witnesses are the 16-year-old girl who saw the killer on his approach near Freedom Bridge and in his disguise. So who would that be? Let's break this down. We're going to go point by point. Let's dissect it. Who would that be?
You have a choice of 2.
It seems to me it would be RV, Rayleigh Voorhees.
That's the most likely of the 2, yes. But also Bree saw a person as well, and she was 16 at the time. But it's most likely RV he's talking about.
Okay. And let's just rehash really quickly the 4-girl group that involved Bree Wilbur and Rayleigh Voorhees. What time were they on the trail? We know that they took a picture of at the bench at 1:26, and then shortly thereafter they left. So can we all agree that they left at 1:45?
Yep. Or before.
Okay. So the 16-year-old witness had to have seen this person between 1:26, which is the bench photo, and we're hypothetically saying 1:45 when they left. The other witness is me, Daniel Pearson. As you can see.
Stop there. Stop there.
Yeah.
The other witness was me, Daniel Pearson. So Daniel Pearson saw this person that RV saw. RV left before 1:45. What time does that make Daniel Pearson on the trails at that point? 1:30 to 1:45. What time did he say that he arrived? 2:30. Doesn't add up, does it?
Does not.
Daniel Pearson was on the trails much earlier than he told the police.
The other witness is me, Daniel Pearson. As you can see by the quotes below, I was close enough to even see eye color. But remember the girl I was with? She saw nothing. So police didn't really question her. Remember Cheyenne and her friend? They said they were there too, but didn't see this guy either. Only me. So they didn't get questioned too hard either. Out of the 4 people, the 4 unreliable witnesses who say they were there at the time, I'm the only one who saw the bridge guy. So I'm the only one who can help with the sketch. There's really no need to question my alibi witnesses too hard. They saw nothing. Plus, they're scared. The only thing they're good for is my alibi. The only thing they're good for is my alibi. Now, why would I come forward if I'm the killer? Is it because I know? Here's the fucking hook, line, and sinker. Allegedly. Is it because I know I passed that 16-year-old girl? Is it because I saw McCain up on the bridge after Libby yelled?
Stopping there, Amy, I have a question. You hear a yell. How did he know it was Libby?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And what if this person is operating under a fake Daniel Pearson profile?
Yep. Somebody trying to bail him out.
Yep.
But the point is, this has put Daniel Pearson, the 4 girls, and now David McCain on the trials at the same time before 1:45.
Which they were.
Which David McCain and Daniel Pearson say they were not.
Well, Daniel McCain did a really good job of being evasive. When he arrived, he claimed he arrived between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Which is the open door window of when Abby and Libby were dropped off and reportedly abducted off the bridge. And then he claimed that he walked to the Monon High Bridge, which takes about 7.5 minutes. And then he claimed at trial that he spent 30 minutes on the bridge. That puts him dead smack in the crime scene zone. But we're just going to pretend that doesn't exist because he's an older man who, wouldn't do this, didn't have an ulterior motive other than the fact that he was trying to create a tourist attraction in Delphi, and he wanted the Monon High Bridge trails to be a fundamental stamp of tourist attractions. And he had fought long and hard to get Ron Logan to give up some of his land. And what better way to get Ron Logan out of the picture than putting 2 dead bodies of 2 teenagers on his property?
Well,
like,
do you remember the mortgage that Ron Logan had?
Yeah, he had a reverse mortgage.
Yeah. So if Ron Logan was not living at his house, what would happen to the land? It would go to auction.
And it's a fuckery that Dan and David McCain were out on the trails that day. Are they
With
murderers?
what-
That's not what we're saying. We're looking at every fucking rabbit hole that there is plausible. And I'm sorry, I cannot get past this timeline. I cannot get past the people who were out there on the trails at the time. Do I think that it's coincidence that all of these people who are involved in Odinism, like Brad Holder, Patrick Westphal, Elvis Fields, they all have some sort of a tentacle? Yes, but nothing compared to those who were on scene and law enforcement tried to completely freaking erase from the day of the murder. They wanted to alleviate David McCain. He's flannel shirt guy. He's just walking out there. Nothing to see here. Okay. David McCain has serious financial gain if Ron Logan is kicked off his property, sent to prison, and that land goes up for auction. They wanted that land to add on to the trail system to make Delphi a tourist attraction. Would they go as far as committing murder? No, I don't think so. But
Would they go as far as to drop the bodies on his land?
yeah. Do I think that this is a religious sacrificial sacrifice? As intriguing as the Frank's motion is, and I'm going to be honest, when it dropped with the details about the crime scene, which we had never heard, I remember at work listening to this in my earbud and stopping. Like, this is horrific. The crime scene itself is horrific. And I think I had tears well up in my eyes, like, oh my God, I never realized that it was this horrific. I didn't realize it was that horrific. And then I listened to the rest of the Frank's motion, and I'm like, oh my God, this all makes sense. But the more that Quester and I and Fungi and I have gone down these rabbit holes, we have reached dead ends through some of these rabbit holes. But the one dead end that I can't succumb to is the dead end of it being a revenge, retribution, you fucked all of us over type of crime against Derek German. That's the one area that I cannot find a end game to. And I feel like
I would add. Sorry, carry on.
I feel like the Patty family was more than well aware of what Derek was doing, and if it benefited them in any financial way, gain or whatever, they were down for it. They knew what Derek was doing. They helped him disguise what he was doing. He used their address when it was beneficial to him. He used the Milroy address when it was not beneficial to him. And that was the drug house, the, search warrant house, whatever. But as a mother, I personally have 3 kids. And unless I'm willing to go down in the swamp with one of my kids, I'm not going to cover for them doing illegal bullshit. And I don't feel that the Patties, Becky or Mike, felt that way. I think that the two of them were doing their best to cover for Derek. And once Libby's gone, there's no bringing her back. And do you see Becky throwing Derek into the slaughterhouse if she feels that he's ultimately responsible for Libby's death? Or is she going to hang on to whatever pieces of family that she has left? I don't know. I don't know. But Derek German crossed a lot of people. Derek German owed a lot of people money. Derek German has never, since the day his daughter was murdered, has ever acted like a normal father and came out and spoke against those who harmed his child. He's never said a fucking word. And the words that he did speak at trial were lies.
Well, the thing that interested me about Derek German is, you know, the sheet you've got that with all of his drug businesses, the last part of it, the part after the murders. Yeah? Do you remember that?
Is that on the sheet that you sent me?
It is, yeah, right at the end.
Hold on, I'm going to pull it up. Oh, that's it right there. This is the one.
The one you had up just before this. That's it.
Okay. February 13th, 2017, according to Derek German, Abby and Libby woke up at 10 a.m. and he made them banana pancakes, then left to run errands. It has never been said what those errands were. He said that he left the Patties at 1:20 to go to Frankfurt to take photos for Becky Patty's business. Becky Patty said that she sent him because the previous photos have been lost. Coincidentally, Derek German said the ones that he then took that day were also lost. Becky Patty said Derek German was in Frankfurt at 1 o'clock. So 20 minutes before, Derek German said he left the house. It is about a 35-minute drive from the Patties to Frankfurt. Derek German told law enforcement that he was in Cutler when he received Liberty's call, timed at 1:38, asking if he could pick them up from the trails if Kelsey German took them. That puts Derek German 15 minutes away from the trails at 1:38. What if Derek German never went to Frankfurt? As Derek German's Frankfurt photos were lost, we have nothing to prove he went. Being 15 minutes away from the trails at 1:38, he could have conceivably got to the trails by 1:56. And we know Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks saw a vehicle like his at Mears' lot at about that time. Thus, is it possible that Derek German was at the Mears about the time Kelsey German says she dropped off Abby and Libby? That's the problem. His car is reported being seen there at that time. Derek German said he called Liberty's phone at 3:11 as he crossed Wilson's Bridge. He said he also called when he arrived at Mears at 3:13. We cannot verify any of this by Derek German's phone, as data regarding his phone hasn't been released. We do know his phone was extracted, but the information on the phone was never released. The extraction from Liberty's isn't incredibly helpful, as while it does not say Derek German phone called at
It does say.
Incredibly helpful as it does, does say that Derek German's phone called at 3:11 and 3:13. It does not identify Derek German's location. It only says it was in 3,500 yards, which was in 2 miles away, which would allow Derek German's phone to have been anywhere on the trails as it approaches. Derek German said Tara German met him at the Mears lot at 1600. I have some things to rebuke that. That does not time Derek German's arrival, and we know that Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks said they saw a tan car as well as they saw the white vehicle that Tara German owned, a tan Nissan. Though, hold on a second. A tan Nissan, though, according to her, Josh Lank was using it that day, and Josh Lank Jr. was aware that Liberty was going to the trails. Hold on a second. Let me pull up this other piece. Hold on.
In disgust, man.
Oh.
It's gone, has it?
No, I have a document. I have, did I not? I don't think I must not have pulled it in here. I have a screenshot from Tara posting on social media that she left Becky Patty's house at 4:10. So if she left at 4:10,
She'd have to have been driving pretty fast to get there for 4. Yeah.
She wouldn't have been the person seen in the car with Derek German at 4:00.
Correct.
Hold on. So I went over that. Derek German said Tara German met him at Mears at 4:00. But I have a screenshot of Tara saying that she left Becky Patty's at 4:10. So we can weigh the value of the 10-minute unexplained time. That does not explain Derek German's arrival, and we know that that Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks said they saw a tan car as well when they saw the white vehicle. Tara German owned a tan Nissan, though according to her, Josh Lank was using it that day, and Josh Lank Jr. was aware that Libby was going to be on the trails. On February 14th, 2017, it was announced that a warrant for the arrest of Gabe Ellis was issued on CSAM charges. On the 16th, Gabe Ellis was arrested in the back of a 2000 Pontiac Grand Prix. Now, see, we know now that that's not true. We know now that he was arrested out of a gray Jeep. But the underage girlfriend, SD, yet to confirm who SD is, but we know that she was Karina McClurkin's cousin. In the front seat were Paige Turley and then her wife. Ellie found a monocular scope, a Gen Pro night vision scope, 2 pairs of binoculars, a tripod, a rifle scope, and a rifle flashlight, trail camera, a Phantom drone, and over $800 in the car. Gabe Ellis also had a Grand Am, which used the same paper plate as the same white car that was seen at the trails. Tyler Joe French, Dart, also seen at the CPS on the 13th of February 2017, was also known to use the plate number. GE was charged with, GE is Gabe Ellis. Gabe Ellis was charged with CSAM on the warrant, as well as dealing meth, possession of meth, and carrying a handgun without a license. Jeremy Peterson was then murdered. He was allegedly providing intel on Gabe Ellis and his group. Alan Tinker, a member of the Kokomo crew, stabbed JP to death for being a snitch. JP being Jeremy Peterson. In 2019, Derek German was again arrested after a search of his car turned up copious illegal Class A drugs. At the time, Derek German had lost his driver's license, was represented by Nick McClelland. While Nick McClelland was handling the Delphi murder case, undeniable conflicts of interest there. Again, Derek German gave the Samuel Milroy address. Somehow, he again avoided being jailed, not even for driving while disqualified. The Samuel Milroy address was used prior to the murders and in 2019 after the murders. WTHR, the leader of a drug trafficking organization in Kokomo, will spend 42 years in federal prison. Reggie Ballantine, 43, pled guilty in October of 2019 to conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute and to distribute controlled substances. Distribution of 50 grams or more of methamphetamine, conspiracy to use interstate commerce in the commission of murder for hire, felon in possession of a firearm, attempted possession with intent to distribute 50 grams or more of methamphetamine, and possession with intent to distribute 50 grams or more of methamphetamine. Accomplice Perry O. Jones, 45, was sentenced to more than 20 years. He pled guilty to conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute and to distribute controlled substances. A felon in possession of a firearm, in possession of a firearm as previously convicted felon. 15 people, mostly from Kokomo, were arrested during a crackdown operation in 2018. Operation Law and Order confiscated over 17 pounds of methamphetamine and over 2 pounds of cocaine, 2 ounces of heroin, and 122 grams of fentanyl, and 6 ounces of marijuana, 2 money counters, and 12 vehicles, $37,000, and 24 guns. No shots were fired, and no one was injured in the raid.
Right. As you can see, from the 14th of February, if we're positing that these murders were to teach Derek a lesson for grassing people up, you then look at this straight after masses of arrests, masses of drugs grabbed all around him. And then you wonder why the police did not even look at Derek. They left him alone. They kept it quiet.
He's the only one who didn't do jail time.
All the time, yeah. And this last one was a massive operation, dragging in loads right after the murders. Taking down some really big people. It doesn't take too much math, does it?
No, I mean, it to me, and the fact that Daniel Pearson is out there on the trails long before he claimed he was to law enforcement, and he's connected with meth. And then you have Derek German's car there earlier on. Was there a drug deal going down?
And then when you think about the things that Kelsey was up to, or not up to, depending on which part of her stories you believe, it all starts to blend in.
And I mean, I don't even know if the CSAM factor in all of this is taking place. Was this just a ruthless revenge, retribution for someone selling drugs, someone being a snitch, and he crossed the wrong person, and his daughter was taken out to send a message? I mean, we have a lot of details regarding not just Daniel Pearson, not just McCain's, who would have been, thriving to get access to the land, to add it to the trail system. But we also have other people in the Orion tip files that claim that Derek German owed people money. And I don't know any other case in this country that has so many realistic POIs than this case. I mean, then you go back to the whole beginning of this case, and the girls were found in the water. And clearly, if that is true, they would have had to have been moved. The crime scene would have had to have been staged. And at this point in time, we still don't have an answer as to any rhyme or reason why that would have been done. So we have to kind of put that on the shelf of inconclusive and go with the crime scene as we know it, the crime scene that was presented by the prosecutor at the trial. And
it strikes me interesting that what we have here is a whole run over years of Derek German grassing very dangerous people up blatantly. And every time he's getting away with it, he's not getting time and so on. Then this murder happens. And all the evidence shows Derek was up to no good. Now, there's no way that Ellie didn't know that, yet they left him alone. Mm-hmm. Immediately after, there's these massive operations grabbing drug people and so on. I may be wrong, but it looks to me like they left him alone because they were running a big operation that he was providing information on. So I
And
could be wrong.
no, but at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself in this case, what would be of value to law enforcement to cover up a crime like this? It would have to
Or
be
to
it would
protect one
have,
person at least. Yeah.
yeah, to protect themselves. Shit that they were involved in, shit that they were participating in, shit that they were benefiting from, and looking the other way. And when someone asks me, well, oh my God, how could you have so many people involved and lie and get away with it? The only way for that to happen is if those people were never put in the hot seat. If those people knew that law enforcement was willing to bend over backwards to cover for them, there was no worry. There was no reason to speak any further. Daniel Pearson, Cheyenne, Shelby Hicks, Shelby Duncan, drug dealers, the Kokomo crew, Tyler Joe French is, Sons of Odin. Whatever the case may be, whichever place the fault falls, if law enforcement is not putting you under the gun and expecting you to give up answers, why would you ever tell the truth?
There's quite a few questions going on about Kelsey in the chat.
Go ahead.
A lot of that is stuff that I've written. You know, the list I gave you just before, well, today on Kelsey that I'm working on. A lot of the answers are probably in there, but it's not perfected yet. So that will probably be something we'll deal with on the next live, I would assume, yeah? Yes, Amy? No, Amy? Have we lost Amy?
No, sorry. I was muted. I didn't realize I had muted myself.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot. I mean, there's like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, are we like Quester? This is a real question for you.
Cool.
Are we exaggerating the truth? Are we expanding on what really happened and allowing so many outside interferences to come in and dictate where we think the truth lies? Or
Well,
should we go with what seems more realistic?
Quite possibly we are, but that is part of the investigative way we work. For instance, when we spent 3-4 lives dealing with the Odin angle, working through how everything seemed to pan out, how it all fitted together, how it could have been this. And right at the end, we came to basically the conclusion it wasn't. For simple reasons like it didn't quite fit. What was being shown, the procedures didn't quite fit exactly to what the procedures should have been, which meant it was more likely somebody setting it up. But you can only find that out when you work through the theory, can't you? And then you reach the end, you find out, no, this can't work. Great, we've killed that one. And if that's what we're doing here, brilliant. There's another theory in the bin. But so far, as you said earlier, we haven't found that stop on this one. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have not. And that's why oh my gosh, we are almost 40 weeks into this Vault series. And for the last 20 episodes, we have been circling back on this timeline and those who were on the trail. And nowhere, let me be clear, nowhere can we fit in Richard Allen.
Absolutely nowhere.
Nowhere.
Not even as a passerby, bystander, or anything. He
No,
doesn't fit in there.
he was there when he said he was there, and between 1:30 and I'm going to say between 1:30 and 4:30, we have a problem. And at this point, I think that we have dissected as much as we can without having seen the Hoosier Harvest Store camera footage, all of the tips that have come in, and all of the names that have been linked to this time frame. And the Palladinos, Derek German, Daniel Pearson, Derek German, the white Subaru station wagon, Impreza, Derek German, when the girls were dropped off, when he was supposed to be there to pick them up, when he called from, Derek German. It all circles back to the same circle of people that we cannot dismiss and we cannot exclude as being involved.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so far, the only theory that is surviving is the revenge one, isn't it?
yeah. It really is. That when you say the word surviving is the key word. The theory that is surviving beyond everything else that we've looked at, beyond every rabbit hole that we've gone down, the revenge drug theory is the only one that is surviving. We are putting Rick on the trail when Rick claimed that he was on the trail. And that was prior to 1:30 p.m. Okay. So, all right, Quester, it's 3:30. Yeah, Candy, I never saw bloody crime scene photos either. The crime scene photos that I see, they're whitewashed. It's not what I would have expected. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So it's 3:30, Quester. I'm gonna let you go. This was a impromptu live. I love you. And guys, my tests are negative. I'm so fucking excited for that.
I think we all are.
Oh God, I feel like a weight. I don't even think I realized how much of it was weighing on me throughout this whole freaking past like 90 days of tests and everything else. I just really, I mean, like mentally, I was like compartmentalizing my life, and now I feel like I don't have to. So I'm so happy. So. All right, Quester, I will be in touch, and next time we're on, we'll have Fungi with us, and we will figure out from today what we covered and what we still need to cover, and we'll keep going.
Yep. Because so far, I think we've achieved an awful lot because we have managed to, let's just say, kill off. I know it's a bad expression to use in this case, but we've killed off an awful lot of theories and stories, including from witnesses. So we are getting somewhere. It's just that we haven't got there yet.
Right. We still have to get to the answers. And if it's a insightful prelude to the next vault, I'm hopeful that I'll have way more information on Cheryl Loeffler.
That would be good.
Yes.
There's something about her that we haven't found yet.
Yeah. Michelle, thank you so much for your gifted memberships. And
She's brilliant, isn't she? She does that every time.
Every time.
Fantastic.
She's great. Like, no, she's great.
Yeah.
She's great. Thank you, Michelle. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Enjoy your, what is today? Wednesday. No, is it Wednesday?
I think it is.
Today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah. Happy Wednesday. We'll see you guys later. Have a good evening. Enjoy. Bye, guys.
Bye.